over the last few months, there has been a lot of unfortunate news being shared related to UK visas, changes and updates in the UK visa process, which has been released by the Home Office. And it has impacted everybody, including students, work visas holders and dependent visa holders, and even might affect those on the PSW. However, today's video is going to take a turn in the right direction, because today's video is going to be all about positive news for professionals who are in India. And the best thing is, you do not need an IELTS, you do not need a job offer. All you need to be is 18 plus. So anybody between the ages of 18 to 30 can apply for this visa, and this is the India Young Professional Scheme visa. Now, if you want to know more about it, we're going to discuss what is the eligibility criteria, what are the requirements that you need, what is the total cost of the process, and what is the process. So if you are interested in any of it, don't forget to watch this video all the way to the end. But my name is Nikita, and I make videos about being a healthcare professional in the UK, living in the UK, and finding your way to make your dream come true, if that is living in the UK. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, do not forget to follow me right now. My handle is Physiotherapy in UK. Just before we begin this video, I wanted to quickly put it out there that if any of you all are struggling with your HCPC applications, or are looking for jobs with sponsorship but are having no luck in your search, or are not landing interviews, or would need help clearing interviews, do not forget to book a one-to-one session with me. I'll leave the link for my website down below, and you can find all of the resources there. But again, if you are looking to apply for your HCPC application, and if you are a physio or an OT, I would highly recommend getting on the wait list for my case study template, which I will be releasing out this week, so that you can avail of a 20% discount. But let's get into the details of the Young Professional Scheme for India. So firstly, let's talk about what are the steps that you need to complete in order to start this visa process for yourself. So the first step that you need to do is enter the ballot. Now this is completely free, so it's free of cost. It is ₹0, £0, and it's not going to cost you a penny. So it's definitely worth doing it, especially if you are someone with a little bit of extra time and you want to relocate to the UK. What is really important to know is that the UK Home Office has said that there are about 3,000 slots that are going to be open for this particular cycle of the India Young Professional Scheme, and that means that there are about 3,000 places that you can bag and be one of these 3,000 lucky people. However, let me remind you that while you do not need a job offer or you do not need IELTS, getting on this visa route does not mean that you are going to get a job as a result of this, or that all of your living expenses are going to be taken care of. So that is just something to keep in mind. Now moving on to when does the ballot open. So the ballot opens on the 20th of February at 2:30 p.m. IST and will close on the 22nd of February. So it is open for a total of 48 hours, which I think is a significant amount of time. However, guys, remember from the previous ballots, there have been downtime on the gov.uk website, because obviously many of you all are applying, but also sometimes the wait times could be almost up to 30 minutes. So if you are looking to apply for this visa, definitely keep it in mind that the ballot system is going to be open from the 20th of February, 2:30 IST, to almost 22nd of February, which is a total of 48 hours. So do not panic if you're not able to make your application within the first hour. All of the applications are going to be considered in the same way as far as you've made your application within that said amount of time. So let's talk about how do you apply for this. So what really happens is, once the sort of ballot system goes live on the UK Home Office website, there will be a link, and you just need to go on that link and fill up an online form. Fill out your credentials, upload a scan of your passport copy, and that's it. You do not need to write a letter. You do not need to state anything specific. You just need to fill out an online application form, and the link for that will be shared on the gov.uk website or the Home Office website closer to the date, and on the exact time once the form is released out. Let's talk about the most important things, which is what do you need to enter the ballot. Like I said before, they are very simple details that you need, but let's just pull them up on the screen right now. So the most important thing you will need is information about yourself, including your name, your date of birth, your passport details, your phone number, and your email address. And what you also need is a scan or a photocopy of your passport. This needs to be uploaded along with your application, so please save this earlier before the 20th of February. Let's talk about what happens once you fill the ballot. So once you fill the ballot, if you are successful, you should receive an email from the Home Office within 2 weeks of the closing date. So that is from the 22nd of February, count 2 weeks, and you should receive an answer about whether you've been successful or not. If you haven't been successful, the chances of not receiving an email are very high. So if you haven't heard back in the 2 weeks after, I would say you have unfortunately been unlucky and you have not been selected as a part of the ballot process. What they've also gone on to say is, as you can see, that 3,000 places will be available for the India Young Professionals Scheme in 2024. Most of these places will be available in the February ballot, but some of them will be available later in the July ballot. So they are trying to sort of fill most of the places right now. So again, keep that in mind that there will be a second ballot later in the year. So if you are unsuccessful at this stage, do not lose all hope, because it will reopen again in July 2024. And what's also really crucial to remember is entering the ballot system again and again is not allowed. So as you can see on your screens right there, it says that you can submit only one entry per person for each ballot. So say for example, you think, oh, this is brilliant. Can I submit 3 or 4 entries? That increases my chances of being selected. Unfortunately, the UK Home Office says this is not a good idea and you should stick to only one application, because any of your subsequent applications will not be considered. So let's talk about what are the eligibility requirements for you to apply for the ballot scheme in the first place. Now, like I said, the cost for this is 0 rupees. So there is no harm done here. It's definitely good for you to just try out and apply for the ballot process. But one of the major requirements is that you obviously need to be an Indian national or an Indian citizen between the ages of 18 to 30. Some of the other bits for you to remember is that you need to be at least 18 years old on the date you plan to travel to the UK. Another important thing for you to remember is that you need to have a qualification at a bachelor's level or above. They've also given you several options down there, which is level 6, level 7, level 8. I'll again leave the link for this webpage in my description box below. So definitely go and have a look at what are the qualifications that meet these requirements. But like I said, a minimum level of bachelor's degree is what's recommended. And finally, you also need to have about £2,530 in your savings account to support yourself in the UK. Now, this is not the amount of money that you need to pay the UK government. You just need to have this money in your bank account for at least 28 to 30 days before you make the visa application. So if you are somebody who is considering to make the visa application in, say, on the 20th of February, I would say now is a good time for you to put this money in. And to be honest, that's about 2,50,000 rupees. But I would say put that 2,50,000 rupees aside in your bank account so that you will have it for at least up to 30 days by the time you come to applying the visa if you've been successful in the ballot. And finally, what's the most relevant point of this visa is you do not need to have any children under the ages of 18 who live with you or who you are financially responsible for. Again, another important thing to remember is that you cannot apply if you've already been in the UK under this scheme or under the Indian Youth Mobility Scheme visa. So if you're already in the UK, please, please, please do not make these applications because you will not be considered. So now that we've covered everything related to the ballot, I just want to re-emphasize on the fact that if you are considering to apply for this visa, please go ahead and make that deposit of around 2,50,000 into your bank account today, because what essentially is going to happen is that if you are successful in the ballot, but if you're unable to show that you've had these funds for at least 30 days, you're not going to be eligible for the visa and they will reject your application, which is not really productive, is it? So definitely go and make that deposit. But assuming you've heard back from them in 2 weeks time from the closing date, that is the 22nd of February, and you've been successful, you will receive an email stating that. Now, once you've received this email, it will state that you are eligible to make a visa application under this scheme, but you need to do so within 30 days. That's your time limit, that's your time frame. Once you've received the invitation to apply for this visa within 2 weeks of the closing date, the next thing for you to do is prepare all of your documents and arrange them. Now, you have up to 30 days, like I said, to arrange all of this and make a visa application. You again need to do this via an online application on the gov.uk website, and the link for that will be there later once they've released the updated ballot scheme. However, what's important to remember is that at this stage, there are going to be several costs that are applicable to you. So let's talk a little bit more detail about what are the finances you're going to need or how much is this going to cost you. So when you make an application through the visa portal, you are going to be charged about £298. And then you're going to have to pay the immigration health surcharge. Now, for those of y'all who are aware, the immigration health surcharge has increased. So therefore, the cost for you to cover the immigration health surcharge is going to be nearly $1,552. And remember, this is the cost for the total period of 2 years, because this visa offers you eligibility to stay in the UK for 2 years. Now, other than this, like I said before, the other cost for you to incur is that you need to have at least up to £2,530 in your account in India right now. Now, you do not need to share this money or give this money to the UK government. You just need to show it in your savings account. And like I said, please make that deposit right now, right today, just so that you are not held in a helter-skelter position if this visa is approved for you. What are the total costs? Like I said, the total cost is then going to be just about £298 plus £1,552, which brings it to a total of £1,850. So that's going to be a total sum of 19,446 as of today, with the current conversion rate of pounds to rupees. If you again want more information about this, I'll leave the link for all of this in the description box below, so please don't forget to check it out. Again, just as a word of caution, one of the major disadvantages of this visa is that you are not coming here to do a job, which essentially means that you're obviously allowed to come and land in the UK and look for employment, but you don't get a job off the bat. That means as soon as you come into the UK, it's not guaranteed that you'll get a job within the first month. Now, why is this a disadvantage? Because the expenses in the UK at the minute are really high. So for accommodation, food, travel, etc., the expenses are really high. The inflation is really steep. People who are already in the UK are struggling to sort of survive and make their financial ends meet. So this might be at a sort of disadvantageous situation for you, because initially when you come to the UK, you would obviously be using your savings from India to sustain yourself in the UK, and that might not be a viable option for many of y'all. So like I said, while this might be a good opportunity for you to find a job in the UK, live in the UK, explore a different city, experience a different culture, if you are not able to sustain yourself, or if you find it hard to land a job once you've come here, you're going to be in a really tricky situation. So I would say find job opportunities, already sort of start looking for what is the scope for you to be a professional over here in the UK within your selected streams. Now, obviously, there are streams like healthcare, finance, IT that are very popular. Even teachers are really in demand at the minute. If you are one of them, I would highly recommend that you already sort of start looking into the processes that you might need in order to practice your profession in the UK. For example, most of the healthcare professionals need their license to practice or their registration to practice. For allied health professionals, that could be your HCPC registration. So like I said, do a bit of this research, but this visa opportunity is really good, especially if you plan to come into the UK and have not found a route in directly right now. But that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, do not forget to give it a like. But if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below and I will get back to you. Take care. Bye.